The St. Louis Cardinals got blown out on Sunday, but there are a lot more positives than negatives to talk about, including why Kyle Gibson's start yesterday should actually be applauded despite giving up 7 runs. This is Locked On Cardinals.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily St. Louis Cardinals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, Cardinals fans. I'm JD Hafford, and I'm a national radio sports anchor, born and raised in the Lou, and a lifetime Cardinals fan. And I'm your host for Locked On Cardinals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team every day. You can follow me on Twitter X at JD Sports Radio, as well as the podcast at LO_Cardinals. We do want to thank those of you who make Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. Free and available wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. Like, subscribe, comment, hit the notification button so you know when new episodes are posted. This is a show serving Cardinal Nation and giving the best fans in baseball all of the info about the birds on the bat. Today's episode is being brought to you by PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB. Use the code, all lowercase, LockedOnMLB, for a first deposit match up to $100. Sunday did not go as planned. I know. We were all anticipating the sweep. Did you have your broom out yesterday? I bet you a lot of people had their brooms out yesterday when the Miami Marlins and the Cardinals met at Busch Stadium. Marlins hadn't won a game yet. And you just kind of knew, really, they're going to let Skip Schumacher get out of here without getting a W. You kind of felt like that was going to happen. But, Kyle Gibson was coming off a very impressive performance in his first outing of the year against the Padres. And the Cardinals are finding ways to win ball games. It's not the prettiest stuff, but who cares? Who cares, right? After being humbled last year, we'll take all the W's that we can find. So really disappointing to see the Marlins light up Gibson in that first inning for not one, but 2 3-run bombs. Jazz Chisholm and Nick Gordon were the ones who went yard. It was only the second time in 113 games against the Marlins in St. Louis that the Cardinals allowed 6 or more runs in the first inning. The only other time happened was when Miami scored 7 on May 15th, 1998. Where were you in 1998? You know who started that game? Brady Raggio. Seriously, I have no idea who that is. I do not remember that name playing for the Cardinals. And I can pretty much name, or at least remember, I would say 95% of the people that since I've been around and paying attention to baseball exclusively, that I could go through the Cardinals lineups and be like, yep, remember him doing this, and that. I don't remember that guy whatsoever. Brady Raggio. So hell of a trivia answer right there. Put that one down in your back pocket, save it for something. In fact, the last time the Cardinals had allowed 6 runs in the first inning to any opponent was actually against the Dodgers back in 2016. So this isn't something that happens all that often to the Cardinals. As for Kyle Gibson, he hadn't allowed 6 first-inning runs since 2022. You guys might remember that game. That's when he gave up the big inning as the starting pitcher for the Phillies against the Cardinals. Jimmy Edmonds brought it up on the telecast yesterday. 4 consecutive first-inning home runs as part of a 6-run inning at Citizens Bank Park. The only other time Gibson allowed 6 runs or more in the first inning came back in 2014. And last year, he gave up 6 or more runs in 4 games total throughout the year. I know we like to think that Kyle Gibson is somebody who gets hammered a lot. Not really. It just kind of happens once in a while. Gave up 6 or more runs. Let's see. What did I say? 4 times. So against the Royals. This is with Baltimore last year, by the way. Against the Royals, against the Reds, 9 against Seattle, 7 against the White Sox. And then that was it. The rest of the year, it was 5 or under. Most of the times 3 or 4. But from time to time, Gibson, he gets crushed. He has a stinker of a ball game. And it's okay. It happens. You never know when they're going to happen, but just know it's coming eventually. So it shouldn't surprise you that, that he gives up a big game once in a while. It's what he does in between those starts that's really more important, and that's what we should focus on. And during those games, he's normally a very good pitcher, which he was for the rest of his time on the mound on Sunday. Now, last year, if you remember, let's go back. I know we try to forget 2023 as much as possible, but last year, when something like this would happen, when one of the starters, whether it's Wainwright or Flaherty, whoever it may be, okay, I feel like they all got shelled at one time or another in the first inning. A pitcher would get knocked around, and then Ollie would have to go to the bullpen, and they would burn through 3, 4, 5 arms just to get to the end of the game that they were going to lose anyway. And it would screw things up for the entire week. Like, it just messes it all up. The bullpen would be exhausted, and then another pitcher would go like 4 innings 2 days later. And there was this endless cycle where they could never catch up. Like, they were constantly, like the bullpen was constantly exhausted, and the starting pitching wasn't going deep enough into games to help them like be able to recuperate, to be any good anymore. So I would like to give Kyle Gibson credit. I know 7 runs, 6 in the first, not great. But after that rough first inning, which, by the way, those pitches that the home runs were getting, like coming to think of it, it's not like those pitches that they hit were like horrible pitches. They weren't like the worst pitches in the world, were they? They weren't exactly. They weren't like meatballs. It's not like you threw it in there at 91 right down the chute. First home run, it was a cutter. He tried to get it in on Jazz Chisholm's hands, and he just didn't get it in far enough. And Jazz has got very quick hands. He's got a quick bat, and just flipped it and knocked it out. I'm sure Gibson would tell you he wishes that cutter had gone inside a little bit more. And then the Gordon dinger was a curveball that, yeah, in a bad spot for lefties because they love the ball low and inside. I'm sure Gibson wanted to get it down more. He was probably trying to get him to chase one down and like closer to the shoot tops than at the bottom of the strike zone there. But it's not like he left it way up here hanging. It was down in the zone, very bottom of the zone, and Gibson just golfed it out, just beat him. But the rest of the way, Gibson, he settled in nicely. He allowed only 2 hits after the first. He struck out 5, retired 15 of the last 16 hitters that he faced between the second and sixth innings, and did it on 94 total pitches. And this is the real hidden gem about the start yesterday, because sure, 7 runs in the first 2 innings is very bad, but it could have gone really sideways for Gibson the rest of the way. But instead, he ends up sticking around. He figures some things out, calms down, and gives the team 6 innings of work. In fact, he's the only Cardinals starter so far to work 6 or more innings in each of his 2 starts this season. Nobody else has done that yet. So make fun of him. Innings eater. You make fun of it all you want. But that was huge for the team yesterday. Instead of the scenario that I described earlier, where now we've got the bullpen wiped out, Ollie only had to use 2 more pitchers on the day. And the guys he chose, lowest guys on the totem pole. He went with Ryan Fernandez and John King to get him through the rest of the game. So all of your big guns, all of your main arms are still fresh. They're ready to rock with the Phillies coming to town. So, yeah, you may have lost the battle yesterday, but the war, as far as how things are going to go this week, you're still set up nicely to take care of business and use the bullpen the way you normally would. And that's good. That's a plus. So, yeah, Kyle Gibson got rocked, but you should be thanking him for doing as well as he did. I think he should be applauded. And I think, knowing the Cardinals fans and how smart you are, most will probably realize that what he did yesterday was a good thing. A lot will also see the 7 runs and just think this guy's hot garbage. And that's fine. You can think that. But looking past that, you see that despite that, Gibson getting 6 innings was a huge plus for the team coming into this week. So now, just because Gibson got creamed in the first doesn't just let the offense off the hook. The game isn't over after you give up 6 in the first inning. The Cardinals had 9 innings to try and get some runs of their own, with one slugger possibly ready to break out after yesterday's performance. Possibly. We'll be talking about it next on Locked On Cardinals. Baseball season is officially underway. Don't miss your chance to add your favorite players from the diamond in your PrizePicks entries. Whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, or first inning runs, take your pick of more or less and add them to your PrizePicks entry today. I always tell you, and I want Miles Michaelis to win every single game of the season, but he gives up a lot of hits. So if you are onto the PrizePicks app, I would go check out what the over-under is on how many hits Miles Michaelis is going to give up today. And I would probably pick higher than what it is. I should have looked this up before I started reading this, but That's what I would bet on. That's something that I would normally bet on. That would be part of a parlay that I put together where you make multiple bets to win a whole bunch. You've got basketball playoffs coming up, the NBA. We know that the Final Four wraps up tonight. My favorite aspect of PrizePicks, how quick and simple it is to just do it and play. Like, it's not confusing. And you also get paid really quick when you do win your bets. So get your money quick with those quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, an enormous selection of players and stat types, and that's what makes PrizePicks the number one daily fantasy sports app. So download the app today and check it out. Use code LOCKEDONMLB and get a first deposit match up to $100, which means you put in 100, you get 100. You put in 75, you get 75. You put in 50, you get 50. Don't miss out on your chance to cash in on all the sports knowledge that you have right up there in your cranium. Download the app today. Use the code LOCKEDONMLB for your first deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy with PrizePicks. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day and got to turn that volume down because of all the screaming? It's annoying. I know this. Make the switch to Locked On Sports today and don't worry about that screaming anymore. A free 24/7 sports streaming channel program for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all of that screaming. Locked On Sports today brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, and news streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And thanks for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. Leave your comments on YouTube in the comments section there, as well as on Twitter X anytime you want. We'll be watching the game together again tonight. Phillies and Cardinals ready to kick off a new series. And your feedback is always welcome and encouraged. So be a part of it all. It's fun. Now, I think it's fair to say that the Cardinals offense has been, I'll use a nice word here, disappointing. That's a very nice word to use to describe it. Dog poop could be another way to describe it. They didn't hit all that much in the spring, and now here we are a couple of weeks into the season, and we still have not seen this offense live up to its potential, to what we expect it to be doing on a regular basis throughout this season. A lot of slow starts for the offense in these games. You know, they've been falling behind early. Not always like it was yesterday with the Marlins where they're getting killed early on, but at the same time, the offense isn't really, putting the Cardinals in a good spot ahead of their opponents early on in games. They keep falling behind. Yesterday, they didn't have a base runner until the fifth inning against Marlins young right-hander Max Meyer. And I know he's, a good prospect. I think he was the third overall pick in the year he got drafted. So it's not like he's just crap out there on the mound. But at the same time, this Cardinals offense is supposed to be really, really good. It doesn't matter who's out there. You're supposed to be hitting at least a little bit. And to not have a base runner until the fifth inning is pretty embarrassing. They had only 5 hits in the entire game. Hell, Marlins second baseman Luis Arraez had 4 hits by himself yesterday. The Cardinals only had 1 more hit than Luis Arraez did yesterday. That's a problem. First base runner wasn't even on base all that long because, it was a home run. Attaboy, Nolan Gorman trotting around the bases after he got the assist from Jazz Chisholm in center field in that fifth inning, the first long ball of the season for Gorman. And watching it, like I was like, Jazz going to catch this. Just the way he was setting up, and you just could tell he had a good beat on it. That ball was in his glove. It was in his glove, but when he hits the wall, it squirts out and rolls into the first row to give the Cardinals a run. Finally on the board. First stinger of the season, as I mentioned, for Gorman. They had only 2 more hits before the rain delay in the 9th inning. Jordan Walker followed the home run with a double. Nolan Arenado single with 2 outs in the 6th inning. But that was it, dude. They were shut down yesterday. After the rain delay, you got Michael Ciani getting his first hit since he was with the Reds in the major league. So that was a cool moment. And then Gorman hits his second of the day. Did not need an assist by anybody on that one. This one was an absolute missile to center field. They got out in like 0.2 seconds. That thing was crushed. 108.8 miles per hour off the bat, just over the center field wall. The Cardinals as a team would finish the day with just 3 runs on 5 hits. And for the most part, looked pretty dead at the plate. But you got to be happy to see Nolan Gorman's power starting to show up a little bit, because he's a streaky guy. He's a streaky guy. And to see him knock not 1 but 2 to get it out of the park probably felt really good. A little monkey off his back, considering he's the guy that many expect to lead this team in home runs like he did last year. But Cardinals offensive numbers this season just are not good. Let's roll through some of them. Paul Goldschmidt is hitting 200, has got 11 strikeouts. 3 hits in that opening night against the Dodgers. Not a whole lot since. Nolan Arenado, he's hitting 268. He's got a few singles here and there, but 0 home runs, just 4 RBIs. Hasn't taken a single walk yet. Not one. Not one. Talk about a stat that shows that a guy is pressing too much. Right there. Nolan Arenado not walking at all. It's not like people are just laying in cookies to him and he's missing them. Like, they're throwing things all over the place. And Nolan, who just wants to do so good, is chasing stuff. And he's just got to calm down. He's got to get out of his own head. And it's easier said than done. And I'm sure they're having discussions about this, but he's just got to get out of his own head. And he's just got to be patient. Just kind of relax. Let it come to you. It'll get there. You're too good of a hitter for you to be doing what's going on right now. Jordan Walker, another guy hitting 194, no home runs, 1 RBI. 1. He's got 1. We love Victor Scott II. We all do. But he's getting abused at the plate right now. 0 for his last 17, just 3 for 36 on the year. The batting average is at 83. 83. And the other thing that's a problem is he's only walked twice. So he's swinging at everything too. And you can't use that incredible speed when you're not on base. Now, he looks great in the outfield. Don't get me wrong. I love him out there. He looks fantastic. The little skip that he does when he catches a ball. It's cool. But not much going on at the plate there. So that's been an issue. And we knew he'd struggle. I mean, he's coming straight from Double-A. Nobody was expecting him to get up here and all of a sudden he's going to hit 300 and be on base and stealing 4 or 5 bases a week. Like, we knew it was going to be a little bit of a struggle. This is why he needed to go to Memphis, but because of the injuries, he had to be here in the major leagues. And when everybody gets healthy, because Nootbaar's coming back, and when Carlson gets back, which seems to be a little further away than we were hoping, still hasn't resumed those baseball activities yet. But when they get back, despite how good he's been in the outfield, Scott's got to go back down. He's just got to. Unless he turns it on here and figures something out. Alec Burleson, wonderful spring, right? We were talking all highly about him and how, look, there he is. He's trimmed down. He's looking good. He's back 172. He's got just 2 RBIs. So here we are again in a spot where we think he's supposed to be a good hitter, and it's just not showing up at the major league level yet. Nolan Gorman, as I mentioned, popped his first 2 home runs yesterday. So hopefully that gets him going. It really kind of bumped his numbers up to make him look a little bit better than he's been, but he's at 222. 7 RBIs, but 17 strikeouts. Third most in the league behind the Dodgers' Max Muncy and Teoscar Hernandez. Now, Muncy and Gorman, and people have asked me who I compare Gorman to. He's a very Max Muncy type of hitter. A lot of power, dude. Good glove, but he's got to strike out a lot. Batting average is not always going to be up there. They've got very similar numbers, but Hernandez has got 4 home runs and 14 RBIs to go along with his strikeout total. And that's where you're hoping Gorman will be at some point. If he's going to strike out a lot, which he is, he always has. This isn't anything new. But if he's going to strike out a lot, then the power and production still has to come in those other at-bats. If he's going to go 1 for 4 with 2 strikeouts, he needs that 1 hit to be like a 2-run double or a home run or something like that. And up until yesterday, it just hadn't happened yet. But bright side, maybe yesterday was that breakout performance to get him going. The Cardinals pitching, as much attention as it got in this offseason and as much as we still talk about it today, really hasn't been the reason why they are 5-5. It's been the offense not living up to their end of the bargain so far. Now, it doesn't help that Wilson Contreras has been out a couple of days, although Herrera has been good in his place. But no Nootbaar, no Carlson, no Edman. I understand that those injuries are a big deal. I mean, you're 2/3 of your starting outfield is not available. I get that. I know they've run into a couple of pretty good pitchers. That's been a thing too. But before yesterday, you had 1 home run between Paul Goldschmidt, Nolan Arenado, and Nolan Gorman. So your heart of the order, your meat of it, the supposedly scary part of your lineup for opposing pitchers just isn't getting it done. They're just not. And to win more ball games, to not be just a random 500 team in this league, those 3 dudes got to get cooking. I mean, Tyler O'Neill, I hate to twist the blade inside everybody right now, but Tyler O'Neill has 5 home runs by himself already with the Boston Red Sox. He's already hit 5. And you've got 1 between Goldie, Arenado, and Gorman going into yesterday's game. Now you got 3. Way to go, Nolan Gorman. But it's not enough. It's just not enough production from the heart of this order. The Cardinals outfielders combined have 1 home run, and he's not even a full-time outfielder. Brendan Donovan is the only one that's got 1. As a team, the Cardinals are 20th in batting average, 22nd in on-base percentage, 22nd in slugging, 22nd in OPS. They've got 7 home runs on the year, 3rd lowest total in the league. Pitching-wise, this isn't good either. 17 they've given up. So the staff itself, the pitching staff, has given up 17 bombs. Cardinals have only hit 7. That's not a good ratio. That's not where you want to be. The offense isn't walking either. It's not like they're trading in getting base hits to be on base by, walks. They only got 28 of those, bottom third of the league, and they've struck out 95 times, which is 7th highest in the league. Their batting average on balls in play, 286, 16th, middle of the pack. Not great, but not garbage. But because they strike out so much, they're not even putting any pressure on the other team's defenses to make any mistakes. I mean, the Cardinals win the first 2 games against the Marlins because of defensive mistakes by Miami. They get some lucky catcher's interference calls against the Dodgers in LA. They've had 10 guys get hit by a pitch to have runners on base. I mean, a lot of fluky stuff is happening here to get people on base to keep rallies going. It hasn't really been that the Cardinals are hitting at all. The offense has been really rough, so we got to get that going. And now you've got Philly coming to town, and they're not going to make life any easier for the offense. So we're going to preview what the Phillies bring to the table next on Locked On Cardinals. Gametime is now an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets even faster and easier, which we like. Prices on the Gametime app actually go down the closer it gets to the first pitch. So if you're somebody that wants to go to see tonight's game, Michaelis against Turnbull, you want to see that tonight? You want to see that matchup? Think the Cardinals got a chance here? Well, here's what you do. Maybe wait just a little bit. Don't get on the Gametime app yet. I mean, you can check it out. I'm not telling you shouldn't get on it, but maybe wait a little closer to game time, and maybe you'll get a better deal. They've got killer last-minute deals. They've got the all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee, which takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. Save up to 60% off buying last minutes for not only sports, but you've got concerts and comedy and theater. They do those flash deals, which are cool, which are ways that you can save even more with exclusive in-app deals on select seats ahead of whatever game or event you're going to. Lowest price guarantee. Lowest price guarantee, or Gametime will credit you 110% of the difference. They're not interested in stealing money from you. They're interested in giving you the best experience at the best price. That's the idea. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. And for a limited time, all users can get $20 off any MLB purchase of $150 or more in the Gametime app with code First Pitch. That's code First Pitch, FIRSTPITCH, for $20 off until April 14th only. Terms apply. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV and the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today now available on the free Fire TV channels app. Phillies and Cardinals at Busch tonight, and they'll be doing that for the next 3 days. Philly comes in with just a 4-5 record, but took 2 of 3 over the weekend against Washington. Offensively, Trey Turner is off to another cold start, hitting just .222, no home runs, 12 strikeouts so far. The Phillies are hitting only .229 as a team. Cardinals killer Nick Castellanos is still without a home run this season. He's got just 2 RBIs. Hopefully he and Turner can stay in their slumber for just a few more days. Just a few more days. No need to get hot against the Cardinals. And it's not like the Phillies don't have other offensive people. Bryce Harper is still there. Kyle Schwarber still there. Both Cardinal killers They're both off to decent starts, along with their catcher, JT Realmuto. They got a lot of firepower in that offense. We know this. Got to try to keep the ball in the ballpark. All right. That's really, the Cardinals pitching staff so far, as I mentioned earlier, 17 home runs they've given up. And Harper and Schwarber are guys that like to hit home runs against the Cardinals. And so does Nick Castellanos. So try to keep it in the ballpark. That's my best advice to the pitching staff. As far as your matchup tonight, Miles Mikolas against Spencer Turnbull. You'll remember Spencer Turnbull from his time with the Detroit Tigers was really good in his one start for the Phillies so far this year. Cardinals have only faced him once in his career. Lit him up pretty good, 5 runs and 7 hits, including 2 home runs. Nolan Arenado does have a home run against him. Maybe we see one of those from Nolan. Be nice, who hasn't hit a home run since August 19th. Well, let me check my clock here. Of 2023, August 19th of 2023. It's got to end, right? It's got to end. We need to get that monkey off of Nolan Arenado's back. I'm sure he's thinking a little too much about that. Tuesday's matchup, you've got Sonny Gray set to make his return on the mound. And great, he gets to face Zach Wheeler, who dominates the Cardinals pretty much anytime he sees them. So that won't be fun as far as the Zach Wheeler side of things, but it'll be great to have Sonny Gray back on the mound. Said yesterday that it's probably like about 65 pitch limit is what they're going to be looking at. So 3, maybe 4 innings if he's doing well, you'll get out of Sonny Gray. So we know the bullpen is going to be needed at least on Tuesday. And which is another thing that's great about what Kyle Gibson did yesterday. Even though he got beat up pretty good in the first 2 innings, that he was able to go 6 and save the bullpen's arms. And then you got Lance Lynn set to roll on Wednesday. Philly hasn't announced their starter yet in that one. Also, some ratings news here. I was a little surprised by this. Cardinals home opener on Thursday was seen in 7.5% of homes in the market, which is the lowest figure for a Cardinals home opener since the 2001 game, which drew a 7.2 rating and is below the 10.6 figure from last season. So not a lot of people tuned in on that one compared to usual. Also, at the ballpark, if you've been looking around, decent amount of empty seats still there. So season opener on March 28th in LA, 4.2% of the market watched that. That is below the rating BSM average last year for its Cardinals telecast, which was 5.2. So lowest full season figure on record. So, this is the way that people are voicing their displeasure with what's going on with the Cardinals. On the field, I don't think you can be overly disappointed with what you've seen so far. Outside of the Dodgers series, this Cardinals team has done a lot of good things. The defense has been great. Finally had their first 2 errors of the season yesterday, one by Mason Wynn and one by Brendan Donovan. But for the most part, they've looked fantastic in the field. You're getting decent pitching. The bullpen has been outstanding for the most part. You get this offense rolling, and you're talking about a pretty good baseball team. I know it's early, so I'm just giving you my thoughts. All right, we got to wrap it up. I'm excited for the game tonight. Thanks for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. If you haven't already, please give us a follow on Twitter, X at @LO_Cardinals, and at JD Sports Radio. Like, subscribe on YouTube to help our channel and love for the Cardinals grow. And if you're going to watch the eclipse today, put on the right sunglasses. Make sure they are the right sunglasses. Don't put on some stuff that you bought from a secondhand place, because you need your eyeballs. You need your eyeballs so you can watch more of these YouTube videos from Locked On Cardinals. You're the best fans in baseball for a reason, and we'll see you next time. Enjoy the game tonight, everybody.